We very much have always been interested in exploring Dragonlance in many, many different forms. Joe Manganiello is a very good friend of ours, and I know that he is still very enthusiastic about the idea of making this happen.
Welcome to the Character Sheet, Comic Book's official tabletop and fantasy YouTube channel. I am one of your hosts, Christian Hoffer, and today I am joined by some very special guests. First and foremost, I am joined by the creators of Dragonlance, Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman. Hello to you both.
Hi.
That was good. That was very exciting. Yes. Hello, everybody out there in Comic Book Land.
Yes, and I'm also joined by producer Pete, who is, still not back in his usual locale. He was caught up in the Great Delta disaster of 2024, so he is somewhere in the desert, but not the usual one. So, Pete, are you ready to do your dream interview?
Oh, yeah. No, very excited. I'm excited as I can be while being stuck in an overpriced hotel in Utah. Well, if you're going to be stuck in Utah, in an overpriced hotel is pretty good. Yeah. Just call me up, Pete. I mean, I just live down the street, so. Well, you hadn't known that at 3 a.m. in the morning, I would have when my plane got delayed. That's true. Okay. Yeah, my wife might have said something about that. Yeah.
So we are here today to talk about the finale of the Dragonlance Destiny series, Dragons of Eternity. This is the final part of a trilogy of novels, then the latest in the Dragonlance saga. So, I guess my first question is, now that the finale of this trilogy is out, how do you feel about, it has been a bit of a journey, seeing this thing get to print, and now that it's all out, how do you feel that it's all out in front of fans?
Yes, I'm really excited for the fans to get to read it. I think there's a lot going to happen that they're not expecting, as is typical of us.
Yes, I would.
Absolutely. No. It's been a tremendous journey for us, by the way, and it's been a journey that we wanted to take with all of the fans of our work. It's really for them, I think, that we've written this.
Yes, I would. It really feels as if this is, this particular trilogy is kind of intended, at least on some level, it seems like a grand hurrah of, the Dragonlance setting as a whole, of the stories that you two have told. Was that intended to be the case, or is that just kind of, what it turned into? I mean, this is a time traveling story. You're going back to the Third Dragon War in this. You've changed time. You've brought back some, not brought back some characters, but it features, some classic characters from the novel series. So was this intended to, consciously intended to be like a capstone to, what the work you've done within Dragonlance?
Yes, I don't know if it was so much of a capstone as I think it was more of a love note, I think, from us in terms of the stories that we've been able to tell down through the years, and the stories that have actually united all of us together and on this really great journey that we've had. This year, it turns out it's the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons, but it is also the 40th anniversary of Dragonlance, which premiered at the GenCon convention 40 years ago this year. So, I would to have this 40-year-long journey.
Yes, I would
with along with all of the wonderful people who've read the books and who brought these characters to life and found meaning in them. I think that this story, we very much wanted it to fit into what we believe is the heart of Dragonlance, and I think we've achieved that really well with this tale.
Yes, I would. Is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I agree with Tracy 100%.
Okay. So I was curious when you originally sat down to write about the Dragonlance, to plan out this trilogy of novels. you brought in a new character, Destina. Why did you decide to like bring in like a new character instead of making one of your classic heroes or anti-heroes, the protagonist for this trilogy?
We're looking at a world that the readers know through new eyes. We're seeing the battle at the High Claris Tower through the eyes of a daughter who lost her father there, not through the eyes of the heroes who went through it. And so we get to view things from an entirely different perspective.
Margaret's right. It's very much the ability to look at the world through new eyes, and to a certain extent, to introduce a freshness into the world. Destina's story is a wonderful arc, and we've always in Dragonlance featured strong female characters. From the beginning, we've had characters of color in our works as well, and so we're to have this really rich and beautiful character at the center of our story, and a flawed character at the center of the story. As Margaret says, it lets us see the world anew. It lets us even the familiar characters that we encounter along the way, and the known places that we encounter along the way, all of them have a freshness of perspective that Destina and the other new characters that come into the story give us as we take the journey.
So a question that a lot of Dragonlance fans, especially ones that might not have read the new trilogy just yet, might have is, as this involves time travel and Destina going back and meeting some of the companions, is there basically now a divergent Kryn where there is a mainline Kryn where everything flows along the way it did in the original, and now we're simply making a new sort of second timeline? Or is this just sort of giving us a new blended canon for the world of Dragonlance going forward?
You'll have to read the third book and find out. All will be explained.
I was going to say, it's like, is this going to turn into like a Kelvin universe type of thing for Dragonlance? We've got the TV show, and now we've got the movie universe, and never shall the twain meet. Although, of course, they did. Well,
I think you'll notice in what Margaret has said here, and the way that Margaret has said this, is that there is a reason why Margaret is identified so closely with Takesis. She really likes to tease and pull people's chain from time to time.
Yes, I was known as the Queen of Darkness.
Talking about time travel, one of the things I found was interesting when I was doing my research for this interview, I didn't realize, to some extent, that there are, within Kryn itself, there were always very established set ways of traveling between the various eras of time. And I was like curious, when I came about that, and I vaguely remember that being a plot point in one of the Dragonlance novels, or one, that was a plot in one of them, because I'm forgetting the character's name. Pete's going to kill me here because I'm blanking.
Cameron and Raceland had a whole time travel arc.
Yeah, they had a whole time travel arc, but I was surprised that there were very established means of traveling through time. I was kind of curious, why did you build in very specific ways? Usually it's time travel is like a loosey-goosey thing. If anyone's ever watched Doctor Who, it's timey-wimey. But you have very set, established ways of was that something you always wanted to explore when you were building out the Dragonlance world and stories?
Well, I think that someone actually mentioned at some point that the Cameron Raceland story line, the Legends line, was one of the first times that time travel had been actually an integral part of a fantasy story.
Yeah.
Part of that was my love of time travel stories anyway. I was a huge fan of H.G. Wells' original Time Machine, of course, and I love Pal's version of it. I think I've got a model of that time machine around here somewhere. And so I was always intrigued with the idea of what if I could go back and fix a problem? What if I could go back and change, take a different course in the river of my life? And I think that's a question that is really central to everyone. Everyone, I think, looks back and wonders, what might have been if something had happened in the past. So when we went into Legends, Dragonlance Legends, it was very much that question of our characters. What if they had taken different paths? That was certainly true of Karaman's journey, who starts that series as an alcoholic and is really ruining his life. Can that be fixed? Could that have been fixed in the past, or more likely, is it something that needs to be fixed in the present? So that I think steered us into it, and to a certain extent, and became very much part of the fabric of the Dragonlance world.
Plus, time travel lets us go different places and meet people that otherwise we would never have met. And so it just simply expands the world, which is just a whole lot of fun.
And as you pointed out, it lets us expand, not just explore the world that was, but alternate versions of the world that was.
Well, that's
it is a little timey-wimey, isn't it?
It is a little bit timey-wimey. Well, that's like one of the interesting things that, usually, we've seen time travel get incorporated into fantasy, a bit more recently. It certainly wasn't a common thing when Dragonlance started. But, it has become, like a secondary, not like a secondary tenet, but it's something that has been featured in other fantasy stories. But, usually most, we've alternate universes or watching the direct impact of someone's influence on a time stream isn't something that's really often explored. Was that like, I guess, but the question I'm trying to ask is, with Dragonlance, because it's been around for 40 years, because you've written so many stories within it, you're able to explore the impact of what one person does and how that changes this time stream. I guess that's not something that you can really do effectively with other series that haven't been around and haven't had so many stories like Dragonlance has. It's not really a question there, or just a comment.
Well, we were fortunate that from the beginning, Dragonlance was always a very rich world filled with things and people that, we might never meet, but we knew were out there. It's Tracy called it the Shining Castle on the Hill.
Now,
it's that vision of hope that I think that is just beyond the horizon. I love the idea of horizons. Horizons beckon us. They call us. We want to know what's on the other side. We want to know what is beyond that. And horizons, I think, to a great extent, are also a vision of hope. No one thinks that the grass is actually worse on the other side of the horizon. Everything is better on the other side of the horizon. And for this reason, I think to a great extent, these explorations are all explorations of hope. We're trying to find something. We're trying to find something better and are hoping for something better. It's one of the, I personally believe it's one of the biggest problems that we face today as a people, that we're constantly being fed fear, because fear sells. But because of that, I feel like we don't have enough hope in our lives. We don't have enough of that horizon that is calling us to a better place and calling us to become better people in the process of that. Even the belief that you can reach that horizon and find a better place for yourself and a better life and a better person than yourself. I think was an important message 40 years ago when we started Dragonlance, and I think it is as important, if not more so, today.
All right. Well, we've got we got a couple. Since we talked a little bit about the novel, and actually you brought up one thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is this vast wealth of characters in the Dragonlance, sort of the universe of Dragonlance, really. And given that you now have introduced even more time travel to the setting, is there a character outside of the companions that you would like to go back in time and maybe give them a new story or a new ending? And can it please be poor Damon Grimwolf?
Well, we really can't talk about our future plans.
Except apparently to say that we have future plans. I mean,
yes.
Well, great. We've let the cat out of the bag. No, we do. We're not finished with our visions and our dreams and our stories, and there's a lot more ahead of us to explore in terms of tales and places to go and people to meet. We're pretty excited about the future, actually, and this series, I think, to a certain extent, has helped us to find that. We came in to do this trilogy. As I said, very much as a love letter to our fans. We wanted to give them something back after this tremendous 40 years that Margaret and I have enjoyed this creative life that we've shared. What we didn't, I think, anticipate is the personal joy it was for us to come together and to create this again together. And so, now we're looking at ways of exploring that. We've got some things in mind, and actually at GenCon convention here in a couple of weeks, we'll start talking about those.
Well, there's a pretty big tease there. I'll have to make sure if I can, I'll have to attend that panel because I'll be at GenCon. So I'll have to try to sneak into the back if I don't have something scheduled.
Oh yes, please do.
Dragonlance panel Saturday at 2:00.
I will see if I don't have a conflict, I'll be there. And if I do have a conflict, I will have my eye on my phone to find out what the heck is about to happen.
Well, come by in any event. We'd love to see you at GenCon.
Yeah, you can also stop by my booth. My booth is 1329.
I absolutely will. I still have pre-COVID. I stopped over and got a signed copy of it was 2019. I forget which book you had just released, but I have it. It's sitting on the shelf back there. I would roll it out, but apparently we only have a couple minutes left before the Zoom ends. So Pete, any final questions before we wrap things up? Because there's a ticking timer on my computer saying it's time to wrap things up.
I think the only thing to say is because we've talked about it so much because Joe's been interviewed by us several times, but everyone knows that Joe's been trying to get a a live Dragonlance show working. But outside of that, because we've seen a pretty faithful rendition in the animation that came out all those years, like in the early 2000s. Is there still a world where you would love to have Dragonlance appear either as a show or a movie or a streaming series? Is that still a goal down the line, like regardless of where plans may lie currently?
Well, I'm really supportive of Joe, and I hated the Dragonlance cartoon, so there you go.
The Dragonlance cartoon, I still maintain, is the best radio play ever put on a DVD.
The music was good. I'll give you that.
The music was good. I thought the voice work was very good, and I thought the script was passable given what they had to work with. Yeah. So if you don't watch it and just listen to it, it's not a bad trip. But as Margaret used to say, people forget that Lord of the Rings was first done by Ralph Bakshi. And nobody, except for occasionally singing "Where There's a Whip, There's a Way," I just don't go back and visit that at all. But subsequently to that, of course, Peter Jackson came in and then made the absolutely incredible and epic version of the Lord of the Rings that we've all come to love. We very much have always been interested in exploring Dragonlance in many, many different forms. Joe Manganiello is a very good friend of ours, and I know that he is still very enthusiastic about the idea of making this happen.
Well, I mean, the ideas that he has, talked about, they seem fantastic. We would love to see that person. And, if that vision doesn't come to pass, I definitely think Dragonlance will one day end up on our televisions or phones or whatever we're looking at in a few more years. So I could, talk to you guys both for like another hour, but the Zoom call, unfortunately, is coming to an end. Dragons of Eternity comes out. I have this out. It comes out right after GenCon, so it comes out on August 6th. Go and pick it up. Go and read this trilogy. Even if you've never read a Dragonlance novel before, it's still I can say hell. Worth more than a minute in. It's still a hell of a good fantasy novel. I highly recommend it. All three novels, or both novels, are great. I'm sure the finale will be fantastic too. Tracy and Margaret, thank you so much for coming on to the show. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you. And I do want to say that the book will be on sale at GenCon, the only place you'll be able to buy it.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Appreciate being here today. We appreciate being here today. And, if you ever have an interest in talking it for another half hour several times, we're happy to be here.
Well, yeah, we will do this again next time on my Zoom account, which doesn't have the 40-minute restrictions. But anyways, be sure to like and subscribe, do all the things that you usually do on these YouTube channels, and be sure to check out Tracy and Margaret. If you're coming to GenCon, be sure to stop by Margaret's booth and hunt me down. I'll be the person not being noticeable. But until next time, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.